latest on James Gandolfini, suffering a cardiac arrest and dying at the age of 51 yesterday in Italy. So many memorable scenes from him. Take a look at some of the best.
Mr. Soprano?
Yeah.
What did you see in Tony that you could identify with and felt you could play?
That he had no center left. And I really identified with that. And plus, it was, you know, then you got to be funny on top of it.
And the winner is James Gandolfini, The Sopranos!
I'd like to mention Nancy Marchand. She couldn't be here tonight. And I'm standing here because of her.
Oh, listen to him. He knows everything. You want some lunch? I got eggplant.
I didn't want to do another mob guy for a long time. And I had no more tricks. I couldn't pull anything out of the hat for this kind of thing.
Movies that affected me seemed to have something to do with Robert Redford.
Since I've assumed command, there have been 0 escape attempts, 0 injury assaults, 0 fatalities. Some may question my methods, but they do work. When people die, it's scary, and they go alone. Now, the people that I send off that have experienced love, they're a little less scared. I mean, they're still scared, but there's a calmness to them. And I think that comes from the knowledge that somebody somewhere loved them and cared for them and will miss them.
Finally, Jim, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Take over for a while, I'll be right back.
Quick. We remember that line. Joining us now, Larry Hackett, editor of People magazine. I know you all will be talking about this a lot. We will be reading a lot about it in your publication. And there's so many tweets from celebrities and his peers and just everyone. There was something about him.
There is. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's pretty standard fare when something like this happens that the tributes pour in and everyone is wonderful and they're the singular individual. I will tell you, though, in the case of this guy, I've been talking to a lot of people, and the honesty with which they say he was absolutely a mensch. He was someone who treated everybody the same, never any moments of ego. At the height of his fame on The Sopranos, and you're talking about a character that in the end completely, transformed television. Never any ego, never any diva kind of things. Again, with the job that I have and we have, you go to a lot of award shows and charities and things like that, and the cast would always appear together, and these guys were tight. They all hung out together. They all loved each other's company, and you just never saw any kind of caste system where he was over here and the rest of them were here. So you got to believe it's really, really authentic, and people are really going to miss him.
Setting aside the murder thing, though, there really did seem to be a perfect marriage of the man and the character.
Absolutely.
In Tony Soprano.
Absolutely. I'm a kid from Jersey, and he had that guy down pat. I mean, everything about it was authentic. There was, as he says, he was the mix of horror and the frightening behavior, the explosiveness that character would have, and then the kind of the feeding the ducks and the taking care of the kids and the kind of like lame dad advice he would kind of mete out, was terrific. So a lot of that was the same kind of guy. He was way more mild-mannered. I mean, when you heard him speak, he didn't have that accent.
Almost shy.
Yeah, absolutely almost shy. Well, because he was catapulted to this fame. I mean, he was a guy who became an actor in his mid-20s, had some character roles, and then suddenly, he's the 2000s version of Archie Bunker in that kind of fame.
We're seeing these scenes today. I stumbled upon an episode just a couple weekends ago, and you see, he is the tentpole. It was an ensemble to be sure, but it all did radiate from him, and it felt like I was back on Sunday night.
It'd be an interesting thing if you took all the scenes from the show over those 8 years, where the camera was on him and he wasn't saying anything.
That's right.
And you just looked at his face. You probably would have an hour of programming right there. And it was always moving that story along and giving it a whole new kind of depth. I don't want to be an acting analyst, but I mean, you could do that. You didn't even know you were doing it, but you could just watch him.
You found him on the screen. You found him on the screen.
Absolutely.
And will he be remembered as the guy who changed the way people watch television? Because, this was the first time that people really searched the dial to try to find something that wasn't one of the major networks that was on it. Am I right with that?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at all the shows people talk about now, whether it's Mad Men or Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead. It's an entirely transformed TV landscape. We don't watch TV the same way. I don't mean just like you tape it and you watch it in a chunk. I just mean what's on television and the way you get engrossed in these stories and the authenticity of who these individuals are. I mean, David Chase, who wrote it, made it, but if it had not been Tony Soprano, it just would have been another TV series on HBO.
And also put Jersey on the map.
Absolutely.
Because we saw a lot of other shows stem from that.
You know, hopefully his legacy will not be that he begat, you know, Jersey Shore, but let's be honest, you know, the cult of Jersey was born out of this thing.
Housewives of New Jersey.
Totally, all of it.
And I'm from New Jersey.
Christie.
People always make it synonymous with like, oh, is it just like The Sopranos, really? Is that what it's like to live in New Jersey?
But they nailed it. I mean, the Star Ledger on your driveway and all that stuff, they had all those details down perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks.
Thanks.